Welcome to Opposites Distract podcast. I'm Jared Pike. That's Bo Yokely. We're remote today, but we are normally from the Sage Plant Studios, and a very special guest today. Bo, your first acting coach, is that right?
Yeah, his first acting coach. That's like the feather in my cap. Mark McCullough, William Mark McCullough. So there's a three name here for this guy. No, it's not one of those things you have two names like a normal actor like myself. Him and John Wilkes Booth are the only two actors I know that use three names. So maybe there's something there later on. Just don't want to go assassinate anyone. But yeah, that is strange though. Have you noticed? This is an interesting little tidbit that lone assassins have three names. John Wilkes Booth, Lee Harvey Oswald, but serial killers usually go by two.
Mhm.
Ed Gein, Ted Bundy. It's interesting how like if there's a single killer, three names, multiple killer, two names.
So
Interesting.
either way, you're if you're a normal person or you have three names, we're all
Either
killing
way,
somebody. We're all
but you,
killers.
you don't go in with like, hey, I'm William Mark McCullough. You go in with like, I'm Mark McCullough, right? I mean,
Yeah, in real life, I go by Mark, but on set, the deal was there was already a Mark McCullough in SAG, so I had to do something. So I just threw my first name on.
makes total sense. There was no
Yes.
Bo Yokely, but that's okay. Only one. Well, cool, man. Well, listen, we're so glad to have you on here. There's a massive movie just came out, the new Captain America. And my guy, Mark McCullough here, plays an amazing role in it because, MCU is growing, expanding ever. And so to have a new movie come like this, to get Mark in here, Mark was my first acting coach, taught me the most of any acting coach I've ever worked with, but has become a long life friend, and someone we share a lot together. So we're going to delve into all that. Tell us about the
Cool.
role, man. Tell us about the role. Kind of what happened, what went on, how did all this come about for you?
It's pretty crazy. I got the audition, and of course it's Marvel, so it was fake sides. I had no idea what was really going on, and there was very little information about the character. I knew he was a Navy SEAL, and that's pretty much the extent of it. And went in, it was a 1-day shoot, and realized my character name was Navy SEAL Team Leader, which I was cool with. It's a Marvel film. I love Marvel, and I got very fortunate, and they just kept calling me back for more and more scenes, and shot. I don't know, gosh, over a year. Just kind of coming back again and again. Shot in Atlanta, shot in LA, and the character is actually now Commander Dennis Duny. Uh,
Mhm.
in the movie, he's a Navy SEAL who's an old friend of Captain America, uh, who's Sam Wilson. One point, Captain America asks my character for a favor, and that kind of puts my character on this collision course with the villain of the film, played by Tim Blake Nelson. So it was a lot of fun. Something I didn't know until the film came out. Suddenly, there were all these stories all over the internet about this Dennis Dumphy being Demolition Man in the comics.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun looking into that and kind of seeing the history of that character. But man, it was just, when I say it was fun, it was like 8-year-old boys playing in the woods with
Yeah.
guns. Like it was
Yeah.
just absolute fun.
Like a dream role, man. I mean, me too. Anything like that, you're holding a gun, playing all day long, playing an army man, and you get to do it on the biggest world stage Marvel that there is.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome, dude. Fun time. How long did you shoot for?
Gosh, again, I started shooting in June of 2023 and shot through November of last year. But I mean, not continued. They
Sure,
call me
sure.
paid. It's one thing. I went to the premiere last week in LA, which was an unbelievable experience. I'd been to red carpet premieres before, but I realized when I got there, I had never really been to a red carpet premiere. You know what I mean? It was just
Different
like,
levels. Yeah, yeah.
holy shit, dude. They blocked off Hollywood Boulevard in front of El Capitan and
Uh,
Grauman's Chinese Theater for the whole day and the whole night. I mean, it was unbelievable.
wow.
So many crazy things about that day. I show up and there's this, Disney has this wonderful handler who kind of like walks me through, and the young me would often pretend like I knew shit that I didn't really know. And I
Oh yeah, I
learned,
know what I'm doing. Yeah.
right? I don't do that.
That's what I do in life, dude, and everything. I'm like, yeah. I can do that.
So I show up and my handler comes up to me, and the first thing I say to her is, "Hi, nice to meet you. I have no fucking idea what I'm doing here, so please help me out." Right? And she was amazing. Like, she helped me out the whole evening. Folks are super nice. I watched the movie and I enjoyed it. I'm sitting there, the credits start rolling, and you know, like the title cards, right, where your name comes up on screen. I'm sitting there watching the movie, and my name pops up on screen in a title card before the rolling credits. And I literally out loud in the middle of the movie theater say, "What the fuck?" Because I had no idea. And this is something that's normally like, you know, super negotiation between
Yeah.
and I had no idea. And I'm just literally flabbergasted, right? So movie ends, I go out to the after party, and one of the producers, I won't say his name, but one of the huge producers on the film comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, did you notice the title card?" I was like, "Yes, I did notice that." And he was just like, "Yeah, we're thinking about it." And we're like, "You know, he's in a lot of the movie. Let's give him a title card." I mean, just like blew my mind.
Wow, that's not what I would expect. The graciousness of you
Yeah.
know, these execs to actually comprehend the importance for an actor to have your name on a title card. That's like a huge deal. Like you said, people walk away and close deals over that. Like they don't do a movie because they can't agree on that term alone. So
Well, can you explain that, you know, as someone, you know, for the most people watching aren't in the industry, the title card,
So
you
that,
know?
you know, when you watch a movie, and like for instance, this one, movie ends and suddenly on the screen it pops up Anthony Mackie, you know, Danny Ramirez, and then William Mark McCullough. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't third, but you know,
Yeah.
it's just your name coming up on the screen outside of the scrolling credits at the very end. But even with the credits, man, they gave me 10th position in the credits. And a film with
wow.
Harrison Ford and Liv Tyler, you know what I mean? It was just
Wow.
amazing. Um, and you'd think Marvel, this huge organization, they would be very, I mean, I didn't know, but I would assume it'd be very distant. You know what I mean? Like kind
Yeah,
of
yeah. Almost too
this
corporate.
brilliant. But everybody was so warm and so kind. And again, stuff like, "Hey, here's a title card credit." You know what I mean? Like that was unbelievable to me. Or even like the day of the premiere, I got up that morning thinking my character name was Navy SEAL Team Leader. Now, I go back and look at the movie, and I see clearly my name is on the uniform. So they had a name for me. No one just told me. So I like kind of just move through the world having no idea.
And
I've
then
got
in the credit you find out, you're like, holy cow, they actually credited me for with this
yes,
guy,
yes,
number 10.
okay.
Like, usually like the role at the end is based upon like the call sheet number, right? So like number one in the movie will be number one on the roll. And so that's what he was saying, like to have, you know, your name on the roll, that's like very, very, very hard to get and do.
I
And it's very
was
gracious.
27 on the call sheet.
I see, and yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
That doesn't
yeah.
usually happen. You must have impressed some people, Marky. Not surprised.
You know, I to be honest, you know, it's a role that's perfect for me. You know, like so it was. I know at the after party, very nice lady came up and was complimentary, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, that must have been so hard." And I'm like, "No, not really. It's kind of what you do." But you know, you and I have talked about this, Bo. Like, I'm a big believer as an actor in showing up, do your job, be easy to work with. And I just think that goes a long way. You know, like I was working on a film last year in New Mexico, and I was zooming with the director before we went to set. I told her, I was like, "Look, I cannot promise you I'm going to be the best actor in your film because I'm sure you've cast a lot of amazing, talented actors. But here's what I can promise you: I will be the least pain in the ass of any actor in your film." And I remember the last day of filming, she comes up, she gives me a hug, and she whispers in my ear, "You were right."
You can
So,
control that, right? It's not being a diva,
oh,
you know, showing
easy to
up
work.
prepared. Yeah.
Well, I'm curious about this connection with you and Bo as far as being his acting coach. Where did this happen? Like what city, what state, and then like where were you, William, in your career? And obviously Bo was just learned, right? I mean, I guess Bo was
Mhm.
at the very beginning. Uh, Tell me a little bit about that because right before the episode, he said, "Oh, by the way, he's my first acting coach." I'm like, "Oh, is he from
It
North
was
Carolina?" I mean, where did it
it's so
happen?
crazy. It's so crazy. So Mark put on Craigslist a men seeking men section.
Right,
Oh,
right.
yeah, I know you signed a
And
bridal lot.
it said like, you know, aggressive male looking to experiment. I'm like, well, that's me.
Right.
Right? No,
He's like,
that's not me.
"Finally."
No. I guess it came through an agent that recommended Mark, said this is the best acting coach. He's in Savannah. He's like, you go down and see him. Because I had done very few small things. And I was like, I'm gonna get serious about this, you know. So I was like, I want the best coach. And like in Southeast, Mark McCullough. I was like, okay. So I called the guy up, went in, Worked with him, I think, a couple different intensives over a weekend or two, and yeah, then actually I knew what I was doing. And to this day, like I said, he's taught me the most about acting, about the process, but also just about being human, being real, and not being such a in your heady weird diva. It kind of is it obnoxious. So I mean, is that kind of sum it up, Mark? I don't know.
I mean, I remember just having a lot of great conversations with you via Zoom,
Mhm.
and being very, very impressed with you, and thinking, wow, he's pretty. You know, a lot of people who are pretty aren't good,
Mm.
and you know, Bo is very good. I mean, I got to tell you, Bo, I use you as an example for my students have now, an example of hard work, perseverance, just kicking ass and making it happen. You know, and I'm a big believer, and I know you understand this because you've implemented it. Hard work beats everything, right? I mean, it'll beat talent, it beats connections, it beats your daddy's an agent. It's, you know, just smart, hard work. If you continuously do that, it'll get you where you want to go.
Yeah.
If you're watching this podcast, or people that are watching this podcast and listening to it, like for me, like I've never acted before.
Mhm.
So I mean, sometimes I act like I'm interested in what Bo's saying, but that's beside the point. But what would be like the fundamentals? Because I think all people, I'd be surprised if there's not a person on earth that when they're watching a movie like Captain America, and they think, how cool would it be to be on the big screen? Even if they have, they have no connection, they're never going to do it. But what would be like some real basic fundamentals for someone like me or the average person watching or listening to go if they wanted to get in, not even get into acting tips, like
Mhm.
something very fundamental you would
Mhm.
tell somebody?
Well, first of all, and a lot of acting teachers don't like to share this, but acting is easy if you're doing it right. You know what I mean? Like all of us at 7 years old, we're actors, right? You ask a 7 year old, hey, you're the Hulk or you're a soldier or and they go, okay, and they just do it. I think a lot of acting teachers make it sound super complicated because they need you to keep coming back because that's how they make a living, right?
Mm.
Um, so for me, the key is I think number one is treat it like a business because that's what it is, right? You're selling a product and a service, and understand everything that applies to any business, whether it's a t-shirt company or a pizza restaurant. It applies to us as actors. I think the key is figuring out what it is that you bring naturally to the camera, like what traits you have, what essences just come through. And it's not necessarily the truth in the world, it's how the camera perceives you in the world. So for instance, I am a sweetheart and a lovable guy, and I'm a dorky uncle to all my nieces and nephews. But that's not what I play, right? I play super intense, a lot of times scary guys. I got very fortunate. This guy was a good guy, but still, he's a Navy SEAL who's there to kick ass, right? Um, I think that a lot of new actors think that acting is you becoming someone you are not. I think that's dead wrong. And there's a handful of people, the Christian Bales of the world, but the vast majority of successful working actors learn what their magic is and they just bring it. So I've got a huge audition after we finish up here today for a big recurring guest star on a new TV show. And I'm literally gonna just hang up with you guys and go do the audition because it's easy, because my job as an actor is to market myself to get the auditions that need me, right? I don't transform into anything. I bring Mark to the table. And what I know is there's not another human being on earth who's better at being me than me. And if I bring my truth and my authenticity, it's going to resonate. And I think back when I first, years I was struggling as an actor. Well, let me rephrase it. I was struggling as a dude who was trying to be an actor, right? I was not making any money at it. And I was doing student films, short films, and low budget films. I hope to God no one ever sees.
I've
And
seen them, by the way, and they're
yeah,
wow. Wow.
yeah. Well, there's a lot of nudity, but we have
A
to do
lot
it.
of nudity. I noticed that. I was like, why is there so much nudity? It's not necessary to do the scene nude,
Yes.
but Narc's nude.
Yeah.
But the
And
funny
they,
thing is, my family would watch my little demo reel of me from these student films and like, oh my God, you're so amazing. You're so different than who you are in real life. Of course, I didn't book any professional work. I certainly didn't win any acting awards. And now my family watches my demo reel. I remember my sister said this recently. She's like, I don't get it. It's just you with that dumbass laugh you've been doing since you were 8 years old. They don't get it. They don't, because for them, it's like, and they're impressed and they're very supportive of the projects I'm in. But my job as an actor, they're like, dude, I don't understand. You're just you.
Yeah.
But for me, that's the beauty when an actor understands that for the vast majority of actors, if you learn to bring you, that's the key.
So if you
Yeah.
hear somebody, some people, I think that's amazing advice. You hear somebody talk about like, well, Denzel's the same person in every movie. Sometimes it's almost like a slight, or
Mhm.
Jason Bateman's the same person in every movie. That's
Mhm.
really a compliment
Yes.
because they're being themselves.
Yeah.
And gosh, Denzel, of course, just love him, but it's
That's
because
it.
he's being
That's one of
himself.
that's one of the best compliments I've received is if I watch movies with family or friends or whatever, and they come afterwards like, you were just you. I'm like, thank you, that's amazing. Versus like you said, someone who's like, I didn't recognize you. That you're almost like, I don't know,
That's
that's
what
not
you
gonna go
want.
very well.
Like I've
All
heard
right.
so many people come to me and they're like, "Are you worried about getting typecast?" And I always say the same thing. I really like the second word in that, right? I like
Yes.
saying, and yeah, and it's just I really I think a lot of it comes from this is not the issue with Bo, but a lot of new actors, I believe, don't feel that they are good enough. That not even as an actor, just as a human being, and they feel that they need to become something or someone that is worthy of being on camera
Right.
because they don't think they are worthy of being on camera. I was the
Yes.
same way. So I was always trying to come up with these bullshit characters that I thought, oh, people want to watch that guy. Nobody cares about the real me. And I was dead wrong, right? Because all of us resonate if we bring our truthfulness. And
Right.
I live out in the country. Bo's been in my place. It's not exactly, I'm not in like thespian land where I'm at, right? It's a bunch of country folks that I adore. But I'll make this bet with anyone. Anybody within 5 miles of my house who said, I want to be an actor. And if they did everything I told them consistently in 5 years, without fail, any of them could be a full-time working actor living their dream. I don't care how old they are, young they are, attractive, unattractive, tall, fat, short, it doesn't matter. What matters is the work.
Yeah. And that's one thing you really helped me with was, the fact that, people think that they're not adequate enough, so therefore that they have to create these nuanced idiosyncrasies in themselves in this character they're playing versus leaning into their normal idiosyncrasies in themselves to play
Mhm.
that character. It comes across natural because I think people have a good bullshit meter when they're like, oh, that's not real, that's fictitious. They wouldn't normally really
Yeah.
do that. Like you
Mhm.
can't, it's hard to articulate, but when you see it versus when, oh no, this is real, they're immersed. And yeah, you said Jared Leto, your Christian Bale, they'll do that. But 99% of people who are very successful working actors, they're pretty consistent with what they do and their idiosyncrasies. And it's a rhythm thing that's natural. It doesn't come across like they're acting, and that's kind of the point. It's you can relate. I feel like to someone who isn't acting but is rather just being. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I
Yeah,
got fireworks
absolutely.
behind my head. Yay!
Dude,
Yeah,
it's
that's what I'm
beautiful.
Did we
looking for.
pay? I hope we didn't pay extra for that.
I did. Anytime I talk, I want fireworks going off. I paid $17 a month for that. So
Well,
Well,
that's
one
great.
thing is,
Well,
it's like with Suicide Squad, I think it was, where the studio kept talking about Leto's putting rats in trailers, and
yeah,
who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Like if the studio's got to tell me how crazy actor you are, there's a problem, right? I need to watch the screen and I need to be
yep,
encapsulated, just brought in by that actor. To each their own. I always tell people there's no right or wrong way to act. Just do whatever works for you. But I think a lot of actors, let's just face it, the vast majority of people who decide I want to pursue acting never book a professional acting job in their life. And it's not because they're untalented. It's because I think they fall into that group of folks who say, I need to become something. I need to quote unquote act. And like Bo
yep,
was saying, no one gives a shit about watching an actor. They want to watch a character in a story that moves them.
that's
That's
it.
it.
yeah,
That's
I
it.
love that. We'll take a second here. We do have a new
Yep,
sponsor we want to get
yep.
to real quick. We Badger Balm, the only all natural badger oil that does it all, sourced from the only most responsible wrangled badgers. Ultra powerful all purpose oil is tough on grime, gentle on skin, and weirdly perfect for literally everything. One swipe, your lips will be soft, your car will run smooth, and your other equipment will be spotless and ready for round two. Badger Balm. If it's dirty, we'll fix it. All right. So Captain
Thanks, Badger Ball.
America. Yeah, Badger Bomb. Appreciate it. New sponsor. So Captain America obviously is huge. I think I recognize you from Hillbilly Elegy.
Mhm.
Mm.
And maybe can you explain? I mean, if you want to get into it, to me, I find it interesting that I love that movie.
Mhm.
And when I saw it, I didn't know that that'd be the future vice president.
Right.
But I do find it interesting. The cast is incredible.
Yeah.
But I find it's interesting, and things don't have to be political, but it kind of becomes that way. People who liked the movie originally, now that he's the vice president, are like, oh, they try to just dismiss it. Have you
Mhm.
seen any of that, or what are your experience with Hillbilly Elegy?
Well, I have a lot of great memories associated with that film. You know, I had worked on a movie called American Made that Ron Howard had produced. He was supposed to direct it and had to back out because of scheduling issues. And he of course, directed Hillbilly Elegy. And he requested me to come in for an audition up in Atlanta. And this is the only time this ever happened to me. I walk in the room and it's just Ron Howard sitting at the table and the cast nurse. She let me in. And he is everything you would think Ron Howard would be, right? He stands up, walks around the table, shakes my hand. Is like, thanks for driving up from Savannah. I was like, dude, thank you for letting me
Yeah.
drive from Savannah.
Right.
And he was just so kind. And of all the big budget movies I worked on, that's the only film we actually did rehearsal. And they did a full month of rehearsal before any camera rolled. So I remember the place that we were eventually filming was just somebody's house out in the country. And there's Ron Howard, me, Amy Adams, Glenn Close. We're just hanging out in this dude's front yard in the country, and like neighbors have no idea what's going on, right? But I didn't meet JD Vance while I was on the film, but everybody that I met was just super kind. And like I said, Ron Howard was he was an amazing director to work with. You know, the film came out. It's a Netflix film, so who knows how many people saw it. But I haven't really heard much about, after the politics of it. I knew that I was drawn to Hillbilly Elegy because, I grew up very poor in a rural environment. And you don't see that story a lot, right? The story of the dude who just grows up in kind of a rough situation and gets out and does really well. So at Hillbilly Elegy point, when the movie's being made, JD at that point had, become a successful lawyer and business person before the politics thing. So for me, I was just impressed by story. I thought the movie was a good movie. The love story aspect was really interesting. I don't talk about politics because who gives a shit what I think about politics, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I wish more actors,
the same way. Yeah.
would just go. Like someone asked me recently in an interview about, hey, what do you think about this or that? I was like, dude, go ask the crew what they think about politics, right? Go ask the roofer down the street. Go ask a maid who's working, in a hotel. Who gives a shit what an actor thinks about politics? You know what I mean? I get paid to say some lines on camera while, the second AD is bringing me a latte. I'm the last person on earth that should be telling anybody what they should or shouldn't do with politics, right? I mean, I am extremely fortunate to have a job that I love and adore. So, like I said, I don't ever see me yapping about what I think about politics because I hear other people yap about it.
Well, it's interesting. I heard something that was so well said and so articulated perfectly. It was the fact that as actors, we're just the court gestures, but our society has made the court gesture the value of the king, and that their word somehow is so valuable and matters so much of my opinion on this or that. It's like we've missed the boat. The whole point that we even exist is to entertain. It was not to make law. And so, but some reason, again, there's been this weird amalgamation with social media and fame and popularity. Now, if you somehow have a funny video or you're an actor, you are accredited to talk about world politics or that, we're really curious what you think. It's like, why are you curious? I don't care anything about it, first off. And second off, if I knew, I'm not going to talk about it because it's a lose-lose situation. Never do it. And I think we had that conversation years ago, just like there's no point to it. Just be a gesture. If you're an actor or a radio host, just stay in your lane.
Yeah,
It's not a
in
big
our
deal.
morning show, like people come to us, they come to us to like have a fun ride on the way to work, right? And the last thing they want is to get into heavy politics. Mark, I think the way you describe that will be on TikTok later. A message to all of Hollywood. Hey, we love your talent. That's all that's all we want right now. We want your talent. But anyway, I did love the movie. I thought it was just a fantastic movie, and I thought the storytelling was phenomenal. I'm glad you got to be a part of it. I'm sure you are, but it's just really, I don't know. I just watched it recently, and I thought, wow, this is a really powerful storytelling. That you like you said, you don't really see.
Right. Yeah. For me, I look at my job. If I can have a little part and someone had a long, hard day at work, They come home, sit down with their wife or their husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever, and they watch some movie or TV show I'm in, and they're entertained for an hour, hour and a half. I won, right? That's my job. My job is not to tell anybody how to live their lives, right? I love the idea that we are the modern day court jesters. We're just, we do our little dance and hopefully make people laugh or cry or whatever. And that's all I need to do.
Exit stage left.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, we do have fans of the podcast, and they're able to send in questions to us, and we'll pick 5 or 6 questions each week, just to kind of go through and ask who we're interviewing, what they want to know about you. So we have a few questions. Don't be thrown by them. Just answer honestly, and here we go.
All right.
Do you, Mark, feel overpaid for what you do?
Fuck yes.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
I'll just be honest with you. Can I elaborate on these, or do you just need like short answers?
Yeah, sure, dude. Go ahead.
During the SAG strikes, and I probably pissed people off with this, I saw so many actors who have never booked a job in their life on Instagram, on Facebook, or we deserve more pay. And I'm like, I make more in 3 weeks of working than a lot of people I know who bust their ass all year.
Yeah.
Doing real work, right?
Yeah.
I feel embarrassed by how much we get paid as actors. And my question is, what level is it enough, right? I look around every time I get to set. Number one, I show up at set and I see there's a bunch of crew that were there hours before I got there, right? And when I'm sitting in my trailer sipping a latte or watching fucking podcasts, watching Bo do something in some sexy movie, they're busting their ass, right? And then I leave at the end of the night and they're still there busting their ass.
Yeah.
Right? I and Bo, you and any other actor, we get all the hoopla, right? We get invited to the red carpets. We get people come and say, hey, great job. The crew doesn't get that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we make a fuck ton of money to do what we do. So yeah, fuck yeah, we get. I mean, again, do I turn it down? No, because
Yeah.
Why would you? Yeah.
I mean, if you got a stock tip for me, insider trading, I'll take it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to turn away money, but I mean, come on.
But when I hear actors complaining about their pay, I'm like, go fuck yourself, right?
Yeah.
You get a lot of money. The other thing I just can't deal with, if I'm on a film set and there's an actor there who's just bitching about craft services, the trailer, the food, every single time I have the same thing that I say. Shut the fuck up, right? Like there's just too many people I know who have jobs that are brutally hard. Any actor, I don't care I hear actors go, oh my God, this job is so hard. It's like, oh, go try roofing one summer in Georgia.
Yeah.
You come back and talk to me.
Yeah. Or armed services, being deployed for a year with your pregnant wife, getting shot at. Yeah. No, thanks.
Going into
I'm the same with you.
Person, yeah.
Okay, Mark, next question. Have you ever been to rehab?
I've visited. Folks.
Do you want to go? Do you want to go to rehab?
No.
How do you feel about the rumors around you?
Most of them are true, and the really good ones are made up.
Okay, well, that answers a lot. Why do you think that your co-stars say you're difficult to work with?
Well, it's probably, it's just probably the clothes that I wear to and from set. It's very distracting. There's a lot of mesh, a lot of see-through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it says here. Mesh tank tops are predominantly what you wear.
I heard mesh bottoms mostly was the problem on set.
Or assless chaps. We have assless chaps down here is a common thing. And last question for you, Mark. Look, we all know the stereotypes of stars sleeping their way to the top. Who did you sleep with to get Captain America? Because I need their phone number.
Well, I can't release that information.
Okay.
But
you can text it later. Just text me later.
I'll text it.
Because you got to do what you got to do. You know what I mean? You
it certainly wasn't based on this or the talent. So I did something. You know what
I mean? No, man. We've always had a great relationship. And one of the funny stories about Mark, I hope you don't mind if I be sharing this story. So we go down to Savannah because this guy really is like, I think, a Navy SEAL in a different world. Okay. We go down to Savannah, me and my wife, and that night we're like, let's go to dinner. We go to this we're going to this nice restaurant. I mean, it's like white tablecloth. We're the only ones in there. It's like, I guess it was just about to open up or it just opened up. And so there's, 20 staff and just one table with me, Mark, his girlfriend, and Olivia. And as he sits down, we hear like this big boom, this big clink from under the table. And then Mark goes ghost white. And I'm like, what was that? Mark's pistol that he had in his waistband fell out of the table when he was sitting down and slid like across the floor. Did the waitress pick it up? Did,
I don't even remember, dude. I
there was something like
blacked out. Yeah.
I could not stop laughing for 20 minutes. I was just couldn't believe this just happened. Anyway, that was one of my great stories about Mark. That tells you who he is. He is a Navy SEAL because he carries a gun on him at all times.
Well, most Navy SEALs don't have a, in my defense for you guys watching who carry guns and would never let your gun drop like that. I didn't have I now have a nice gun belt for suits, and I didn't have one then. I used my suit belt, my normal leather belt, which was a huge mistake. So for any of you guys who carry guns, don't use your regular belt because your gun might fall out.
It could, but unfortunately, you had a Glock, right? I think it was a Glock.
Well, don't feel bad. You might have saw this video that was circulating a couple of years ago. There was a gun safety instructor, and he was teaching a class of students. Hold on a second. I have teenage kids and snow today. Can you turn your phones off? Eli, turn your phone off.
This is live, dude. This is what happened.
You have no idea. They were behind me the whole time, texting me, and they put on their phone like, "Can we go to Chipotle? Can we do this?" I'm like, They know I said I'm in a. Okay.
You seem distracted, Jared. Thank you for admitting.
And
that.
I don't like that. Normally, that's why the studio's better.
Yeah, the studio works for that.
No, you be quiet. I will. This guy here is the Navy SEAL in real life, and he
He'll
drops
kill you.
guns. He drops guns everywhere. He's going to drop one on you. No, but the safety instructor, he shot himself in the foot in front of the entire class and on video. So yeah, I don't feel bad.
And another one was like showing you say this in like a revolver. He was like showing how to work it, and then blew a hole in the gun range roof with like a revolver, like a 500 Smith & Wesson revolver. So it all happens, dude.
Where were y'all eating? I'm curious. In Savannah, I love food. Where were y'all? Do you remember?
What was it, Mark?
I know exactly where it's at. I don't think, unfortunately, the restaurant didn't last.
Oh, okay.
A lot of gun violence in that restaurant. They had to shut down due to
guys in there throwing guns around.
Well, actually, I've used that restaurant as an example to students because their food's good, right? But they did a shitty job marketing their restaurant.
Yeah.
And you can have the best talent in the world. If you don't market your talent, you're going to go out of business.
Boy, that's my business. So are you in the Savannah area still?
Yeah.
Okay. I know you probably won't, but our morning show is syndicated there on Hot 98.3. It's Jared and Katie in the morning, but we're in the Savannah market. So we come down there and visit once or twice a year and different things. But anyway, we're out of North Carolina, but I love
humble
Savannah.
brag.
No.
Pause for applause here.
What's that? Oh,
I said hold for applause.
I love Savannah though. It's a beautiful town. Beautiful place.
Dude,
anyway, we're not gonna sit here and talk about Savannah, but
I was in LA for years, and I came back to Savannah, had a family member get sick, and I came back just to spend time with them. And it was the first time I spent any real time in Savannah. I turned 18, got out of high school, and I couldn't wait to get out. But I just fell in love with the city, and with the nature of the business now, it just doesn't matter where you live, right? So I decided to stay, and I love it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a great place to come home to. I travel a lot, obviously, for work, like Bo, I'm sure you do as well. But man, it's a nice place to come back to.
Yeah. I like, Mark, I'm sure you're the same way. I think we've had this conversation before, that it's nice to get away from the industry hubs when you're not filming. It can become really not intoxicating, but also too, like in a negative way, like suffocating in a way, that everything is revolved around this and everyone's all the time. It's like, when I'm not working, I want to check out and go and rest, and then I'll come back whenever it's time to shoot again. I don't want to be around this all the time. It's too overwhelming a lot of times.
The thing I've noticed in Savannah, one of the things I love is no one gives a shit what you do. Right? Like, I've got buddies that I mean, they're not super, super close friends, but they're friends, and we'll go out and have beers. They have no idea what I do for a living, and I have no idea what they do for a living, and nobody cares, right? I know when I lived in LA, first 30 seconds, what do you do? And it wasn't because people were curious. It was, they wanted to know, are you someone I need to spend time with? Because you might somehow help me in my career. And I just love it, and I used to have this joke, and it's not completely true, but there's a little truth to it, that when I lived in LA, I go to a bar and I look back in the back of the bar, I see that one guy who wasn't a douchebag. And in Savannah, I walk in the bar and I look way back in the back and I see that one guy who is a douchebag.
It's true.
We got another clip.
Yeah, there's our other clip. No, it is. It's some of those environments can be really
Having said
like
that, some of my best friends in the world are in LA. There's some great people there, but
yeah. And same with Atlanta. I got
Mhm.
so many friends and family, well, not family, so many friends and coworkers in Atlanta. I love it. It's just a lot to be around it all the time. It's
Yeah.
good to get a reprieve. I feel like
It's like when I used to be a lawyer, man. If I went to lunch with another lawyer and all they want to talk about was legal cases, I'm like, dude, the world is a big place. There's a lot of interesting things. I don't need to talk about my work when we're just having lunch,
Yeah.
And I think
That's
it's interesting from you. We'll let you go here, but the fact that what percentage of actors, successful actors, have a law degree? That's pretty fascinating.
I have no idea.
Does it make you overqualified? Maybe.
Well, I don't know, man.
yeah, you got stumbled up.
Yeah,
My questions.
Make a joke about lawyers.
My questions didn't
I
stumble up.
offended this podcast.
Do what?
I was about to make a joke about lawyers, and I thought, well, how many people can I offend in this podcast? Let me not do that.
All of them is fine.
That's all we're here. That's all we're here.
Yeah, actually, I do know a few folks who have law degrees, because I think there's a lot of people like me who went to law school because they love the idea of being an actor and being in front of an audience, and they thought, oh, I'll go to law school, I'll go to trial, I'll have a jury, and they realize, shit, that's not super exciting. You know what I mean? And so they leave it. So yeah, I think there's probably a lot of people who the allure of the law was not, they watched Law and Order and they realized in the real world that's not the way it works.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now, Bo, you got any last questions for Mark?
Nah, man, Mark, he summed it up. I got all of our questions answered. The only I'm curious about is that rehab, if we're going to see you in rehab one day. Because
Did you guys need pictures of my outfits I wear to set? I don't know if you
I've got them.
Okay.
They were sent to me before, along with all the complaints about being hard to work with, and yeah. So I got.
We're putting them on Reddit as soon as we get off here for other people.
In fact, we're going to superimpose those pictures of you when we're putting this video up, so people will get live footage of it.
It'll be on TikTok at least for 24 hours before it gets banned. So.
Yeah. we'll get a couple million views first and foremost. Mark, I appreciate you, buddy. I love you, man. I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited about what's coming out and what's going to continue. I can't wait to see you on Saturday night live when I see the movie. And dude, thank you so much for doing this. You are the man.
Hey guys, it's a pleasure. Jared, great meeting you. Bo, always love talking to you, man. I love you, and it was an honor to be on here and chat with you guys.
Absolutely, brother. Take care. We'll talk soon.
Bye, guys.
See you,
Thanks, Mark.
I will just and we're out.